Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into a really important aspect of critically reviewing academic articles, the evaluation of argumentation and logic. Whether you are reading applied linguistics research, social science papers, or any scholarly work, understanding how to assess the logic behind an author's argument is essential for truly grasping the quality and credibility of their conclusions. So, let's break this down together. What does it mean to evaluate argumentation and logic? And how can we spot when something is off or, frankly, just not well supported? First, argumentation is the process of presenting reasons to support or oppose a particular idea or conclusion. Think of it like a conversation where someone tries to convince you why their point of view makes sense. When we talk about argumentation, there are a few key pieces to keep in mind. First up is evidence. That's basically all the stuff the author brings to the table to support their point, like data, research results, stats, or even examples from real life. Then there are the claims. These are the main ideas or statements the author wants you to agree with. Think of claims as the big points they're trying to prove. Finally, we have reasoning, which is kind of like the glue that holds everything together. It's how the author connects the dots between the evidence and the claims, showing why one leads to the other. Without good reasoning, even solid evidence won't convince you. Logic is the structure or rules that ensure an argument makes sense. It's about how well the conclusions follow from the premises or evidence given. For example, a logical conclusion means if the evidence supports this point, then the conclusion should naturally follow. If the logic breaks down, the whole argument weakens. Are conclusions logically derived from the evidence? This is a key question. When you read a paper, always ask yourself, does the author clearly show how their evidence leads to their conclusions? Are the connections between data and claims explicitly explained? Or do they jump to conclusions without sufficient support? For example, imagine a study in applied linguistics that claims using a particular teaching method improved the student fluency. But then the evidence only shows the student fluency improved in one class with no control group or comparison. Is that enough to conclude the method caused the improvement? Probably not. The link isn't logically sound. A fallacy is a flaw in reasoning that weakens an argument. There are many types, but here are some common ones you might see in academic circles. All right, let's talk about some common fallacies. Basically, mistakes in reasoning that weaken an argument. You will see these popping up in all kinds of research, so it's good to know how to spot them. First up, the hasty generalization. This happens when someone takes a small amount of data and then tries to make a big claim. Like, imagine a study where just 5 students improved after trying a new teaching method. The author then says, see, this method works for all learners. That's jumping the gun. What about all the other students who might not have improved or different learning styles? It ignores those important details. Next is the strawman fallacy. This is when someone twists or oversimplifies someone else's argument just to knock it down easily. For example, if an author says, critics claim this method is useless, but they clearly ignore how great it is, but the critics actually have more thoughtful concerns, that's a straw man. It's like arguing against a fake version of someone's opinion instead of what they really said. Then there is circular reasoning. This one's tricky because it sounds like an explanation, but it's really just going in circles. For instance, this method works because it leads to effective learning. That doesn't tell us why it works, it just repeats the same idea. It's like saying, I'm right because I'm right. Finally, the false cause fallacy is when someone assumes that because two things happen together, one caused the other. Say, students' vocabulary got better after using the app, so the app must be the why. But maybe students were also getting extra tutoring or practicing more. The app might not be the only reason. The next is overgeneralizations. This happens when conclusions are extended beyond what the evidence supports. For example, an article based on a small specific group of English language learners is one in one country claims their results apply to all ESL learners worldwide. This is an overgeneralization because learners' profiles, cultures, and learning environments vary widely. In supported claims, sometimes authors make statements without any evidence at all, maybe relying on assumptions, opinions, or outdated sources. When you spot a claim, ask, has the author cited credible sources? Is there data or examples backing this up? Or is it just an assertion with no backing? In order to critically review argumentation and logic, we must check the evidence, look at the data, quotes, or research the author uses, follow the reasoning and the question. Does the argument flow logically from premises to conclusion? Identify assumptions and ask, what is the author assuming without proof? Look for contradictions and ask, does any part of the argument conflict with other parts? Check for bias and see whether the argument is objective or skewed by the author's perspective. If we accept arguments with weak or flawed logic, we risk 1. Misunderstanding the research, 2. Propagating misinformation, and 3. Making poor decisions in practice, policy, or teaching, especially in applied linguistics and social sciences, where research impacts real people's lives and education. A strong argumentation is crucial. To sum up, always ask if conclusions are logically supported by evidence. Watch out for fallacies like hasty generalizations, false cause, and straw man. Be cautious of overgeneralizations and unsupported claims. Use critical thinking to evaluate the strength of arguments. By sharpening this skill, you become a more discerning reader and a better researcher or practitioner. So there you have it, some of the most common pitfalls in argumentation and logic that can trip up even academic articles. By learning to spot these fallacies and weak reasoning, you will not only become a sharper reader, but also a stronger thinker and communicator. Remember, critical thinking isn't about being negative. It's about digging deeper, asking the right questions, and making sure the ideas we accept are solid and well supported. Thank you for your attention. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your fellow researchers or students, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into applied linguistics and social sciences. Also, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about any tricky arguments you've come across or topics you want me to unpack next. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep questioning and stay curious.